Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe. I am Aaron St. Dennis. Follow me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist, joined by Mike Kashuba at FF Mike Cash. I like that much better than when we did this last year. How's it going,
Yep.
Mike? Long time no see.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for having me on. Sorry, we were just talking about it. I'm at a work conference right now, so you don't get the normal cool background with the Deontay Johnson helmet. You just get my lovely hotel room.
And then don't worry, I'm drinking and I got a beer cooler behind me, so I didn't even notice till you said
Let's
it.
ride.
So, let's ride. Before we get into the Washington Commanders, you want to take a second, tell everyone where they can find you and all the things you do.
Yeah, so if you're looking for more audio things, you can find me at Fantasy Football RPG. That's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're looking for written content, I'm an editor at Last Word on Sports. We cover everything from waiver wire articles, start-sit decisions, all of the things that you're looking for, dynasty rankings. You can find me over there. Or best case scenario, just hop over to Twitter at FF Mike Cash with a K, and you'll find everything that you need.
Sounds good. So let's get into it. It's been more excitement around the Commanders than usual. I actually have quite a few shares of them because, with the exception of maybe Jaden Daniels, it's a pretty lowly valued team here. So let's start with QB room. We've got rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels going QB 17 off the board, backed up by Marcus Mariota and Jeff Driscoll. Hopefully for Washington fans, we will not see either of them. I guess we're going to start off here with, what are your thoughts here on Jaden Daniels? I know I was a lot higher on him in a format like Scott Fishbowl, where it's heavily weighted to the rushing quarterbacks. I think he was awesome in that, and I probably pushed him up 6 or 7 spots. I think I had him as maybe QB 11 in that format. 17, I'm not sure. I feel like that might be a little undervalued, but he's a rookie. I don't really know what to make of it. What do you think here?
Yeah, so there's two things with this. First, I went back and I looked at every first-round quarterback that has played more than 10 games over the last 11 seasons. Bottom line, they're either really good or absolutely droppable, and you find out very quickly. So when we talk about a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, his strong suit is his rushing ability, and then he has some nice weapons around him, and he was able to support those in college. I think that he is undervalued at his quarterback 17 price, and if you're telling me in a one-quarterback league, I can take him basically free, slot him in as my QB1 week 1, and then just see how it goes. That'll give me opportunities to stream guys throughout the season because at his price tag, he's free.
He is, yeah. I think there's tons of upside here. I think he's kind of a skinnier version of Anthony Richardson here. I'm not sure passing how they compare, but I think there's lots of upside, and that's why I was so I went quarterback to start Scott Fishbowl. I went Richardson, and then Kyler fell to me. I was planning on actually punting QB2. Kyler fell to me in the second, so I said, screw it, I'm going to take him. And then I wasn't even going to consider a QB3. I didn't. I ended up waiting till Geno. But had Jaden Daniels got to me in the third round, I would have just said screw it and started 3 QBs because of the value.
Yep.
He ended up going the pick before me, but it was just a case where I'm going, I can't pass up on the elite rushing upside here between Richardson, Daniels, and Murray. That would, in that format especially, it would have just been insane.
Yep.
But like I said, I never got to that. What's that? Go ahead.
I was going to say, of the rookie quarterbacks that did well for fantasy football, you're either looking for elite passers like a CJ Stroud, and even he wasn't that great for fantasy football. He was good. He wasn't great. Or you want elite rushing upside like a Lamar Jackson, a Robert Griffin III, somebody like that. And Jaden Daniels has that in spades. So I love him. There's a film study of him up on our podcast, FFRPG. Go watch some Jaden Daniels love.
Absolutely. Moving on to one of the more interesting parts here, running back room. Got Brian Robinson Jr., who I think I have a few shares of because he goes so late. I've been taking him over Eckler. It's tough. I think you're going to have Robinson's the between the 20s guy and maybe the goal line back. Eckler's going to be the passing downs. The problem here is I don't think Eckler's going to get a whole lot of the goal line work, which has been half of his value. It's been passing and goal line work with 21 touchdowns. Then we've got Chris Rodriguez Jr., Michael Wiley, Jeremy McNichols. So it's basically Robinson Jr. here and Eckler. I don't know what to make of this. I don't really have many shares of Eckler. I have a few of Robinson, but I think they may be a guy with not all that much upside. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? What do you
Yep.
make?
Best case scenario for whoever the lead back in Washington is that they are a low end RB2. With Brian Robinson, you're waiting for him to fall into the end zone, gain a bunch of rushing yards. He's not going to be that useful in the passing game. With Austin Eckler, you're really hoping that he has a bounce back season, which is hard to foresee for an age 29 back on a new team with a quarterback that doesn't check it down that often. So it's kind of the trifecta of bad for a scat back. So I would rather draft Brian Robinson at cost. And either way, I'm not really that excited about it. It's just more of a plotter to keep my team afloat.
I agree. And like I said, the shares I do have of Robinson are late ones. I think he went one round too early for me in Scott Fishbowl, so I don't have him there. But Eckler, unless it was dynasty leagues where I already owned Eckler going into the season, I don't think I've acquired a new share of Eckler. There always just seem to be so many more, whether it be rookie running backs or young wide receivers. In that range, there always just seems to be someone with better upside. And I think you encapsulated that perfectly. The upside here is probably a low-end RB2 for either of these guys. Like one, you hope he falls into the end zone. Eckler, you just hope he has enough pass volume and breaks off for a touchdown. I don't love this situation. It kind of scares me for both of them.
I definitely like that they're going where they are, because at that point, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's late enough that you're not beat up about it. There's not a lot of reasons to be excited here.
Yeah, cut them when they don't work out. If they don't work out, it's no big loss. The receiving room here, Terry McLaurin finished as wide receiver 32, going as wide receiver 31. Seems to be the guy that he's probably the most boring fantasy receiver. It's just like he's a wide receiver 3. When he's on the board and he's the next one, you draft him. After that, we've got Jahan Dotson, rookie Luke McCaffrey, Jamison Crowder. I didn't know was still in the NFL. De'Ami Brown, who I was holding shares of because he was the college roommate of Sam Howell. That didn't work out because Sam Howell's gone. Olamide Zacchaeus, Marcus Rosemary Jack Saint, who is a rookie, was not even on my board. I knew who he was. I did graphics for him, but he was buried down there. Demir Bird, who is also very old. They got a lot of old guys on this team, man. And Dax Milne. Really, I know I've got some shares of Terry McLaurin in that I've punted wide receiver 2 or 3 here, and I'm looking to just draft a boring safe guy. I've got a couple of cheap dynasty shares of Jahan Dotson, hoping maybe he'll bounce back, but I have very little interest in this wide receiver room. How about you?
Yeah. Where are you pulling ADP from? Because I can pull it up real quick.
Fantasy Pros.
Oh, right. I'm just going to list a couple of names that go after Terry McLaurin that I would rather have.
This is not going to be favorable, is it, for McLaurin?
Chris Godwin.
Agree.
Any of the Chiefs wide receivers take a swing. Deontay Johnson.
Oh,
Lad
I love
McConkey,
that.
Christian Watson. Brian Thomas Jr., JSN. Like, if you're going to draft or completely punt on wide receiver, or you're just drafting wide receiver 3, take somebody that has a path to volume that is going to actually be useful for your fantasy teams. I think Terry's an amazing receiver, and I think Jaden Daniels is a better passer than people give him credit for. But the history of rookie quarterbacks supporting wide receiver 1s is disgusting, and even supporting a wide receiver 2 is spotty at best. If Jaden Daniels' best strengths are his legs, which we think they are, what is the pass volume going to look like here? We were talking a little bit before the show about Cliff Kingsbury offenses and how often he passes an unholy amount. That is going to meet Jaden Daniels, and something has to give there. If you tell me they're going to attempt 610 passes, throw a dart at Terry McLaurin. Why not? I just don't see that as what this offense is going to look like. So I just can't draft him with the names that are going after him.
The shares of Terry I have are the ones where it's, okay, he probably should have gone 4 rounds ago. I need a receiver. I guess I kind of have to take him now. It's, you twist my arm to take him. So I don't really ever look and go, I'd really like to draft Terry McLaurin. So
yeah, I think that's how it's going to go for a lot of us this year. At 31, tough. At 40, might as well. He's still going to be the alpha in this offense, because Jahan Dotson, all of his advanced metrics make us look very silly. And then Luke McCaffrey is fine. He's going to be an okay NFL wide receiver 3. He's not stealing volume from Terry freaking McLaurin.
Yeah. An interesting tight end room here. I was very high on rookie Ben Sinnott. I thought he'd be useful here. Unfortunately, Zach Ertz seems to be fantasy poison to his other teammates here. And they brought on Zach Ertz just enough to, I think this worries me. He did it to Trey McBride for half a season. He did it forever in Philly. I just think I don't love Ertz. He's 33 years old. Wide receiver, tight end 51 last year. But with a rookie tight end coming in, I think this kind of plays out similar to McBride did in Arizona, where Ertz is just going to be a thorn in his side and kill his value for maybe a half a season, maybe a full season. And it's kind of, softened my stance here on Sinat a little, to the point where I used to be the first guy reaching for him. Now I find he's going before I'm comfortable taking him. So I've been avoiding this tight end room. And I think I have a few late shares of Zach Ertz where it's like I've completely punted on tight end. That's been going insanely early this year. And I got a few shares late of, screw it. Maybe he's a bye week tight end, but I don't love this room. Like I said, Ertz, I don't love the upside, and Sinat is getting to the point. I guess tight end 26 isn't expensive, but
yeah,
I don't love that Ertz is on this roster here.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I love the dynasty call out for Sinat. Like, he used to be like somebody that is interesting to us in that format, and I still think he is going into 2025. 2024, they're just going to eat each other. It's going to be gross. You're never going to know which one to start. They'll be fun in DFS, like maybe you get a spike week, maybe you get a touchdown. But as far as drafting them and starting them with confidence, you can't do it.
Yeah,
even with their prices.
Absolutely. All right, moment of truth here. Based on their relative ADP, doesn't have to be perfect. Who's a player on this team you're targeting, and who is one you're avoiding this year?
Yeah. I'm targeting Jaden Daniels for a lot of the things I've already said. If Cliff Kingsbury decides he wants to throw it 600 times, Jaden Daniels is going to be good for fantasy. If Jaden Daniels is as good a rusher as we think he is, he's going to be good for fantasy. If the Commanders are playing from behind a lot, Jaden Daniels is going to be good for fantasy. There's a lot of if-then statements that result with Daniels is good for fantasy. The only one that's bad is he gets hurt, he gets benched. They don't have enough depth behind him for him to get benched, and you don't bet on a player getting hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Jaden Daniels with confidence. I'm avoiding everybody that tries to catch passes there. Like, it's just trying to figure out who's going to get the volume, who's going to be able to be started each week. If you're talking about a best ball tournament where it'll set it for me, sure, throw a dart, see what happens. But if you're talking about a season-long format where you have to adjust your lineups each week, it's going to be frustrating for literally every skill position player in this team.
I agree. All right, let's go into the schedule here. Let me zip up to that. I will say the game. You tell me win or loss. We start week 1 at Tampa Bay.
This isn't going to be a fun game for them. Loss.
Loss. Week 2, hosting the Giants.
We'll say win.
Ooh. Week 3 at the Bengals.
Loss.
Week 4 at the Cardinals.
Loss.
Week 5, home to the Browns.
I'm worried for Jaden Daniels' safety. Loss.
I think that holds true in week 6 as well at Baltimore.
Yep. That's tough. Loss.
Good God. Okay, if ever, and I was going to say this when you mentioned the QB, I get it. The backup is Marcus Mariota, and there's no chance. But do you think maybe a reasonable head coach would say, let's let him sit 5 or 6 games? They're not going to be competitive anyways. Let him sit 5 or 6 games and then come in week 7 against Carolina and not get him murdered in week 5 and week 6.
I love that idea, because then you're not benching him and ruining his confidence. You're just saying, this is the plan. We're sticking to it. We'll see you week 7.
That's terrible. I do not want to see a rookie back-to-back Cleveland, Baltimore. Like, go ahead.
I was going to say starting the season with Vita Vea in his face. That's a horrible idea.
It's not a great start. There's some defenses that could very early ruin a rookie's confidence or kill a rookie flat out. So I know that sounds terrible for anyone who has him, but for his long-term health and value, he may be best to sit here for a few weeks. But we will continue. Week 7, home to the Panthers.
We'll call that one a win.
All right. Week 8, hosting the Bears.
This is going to make Bears fans mad. I think they win that game.
All right. I've been saying that as well, not necessarily against Washington, but there are rookies and new acquisitions on this Bears roster. I get it. It looks real nice, but realistically, teams with this many new pieces take some time to gel, and I don't necessarily think they get off the ground running here. especially with the way, the shortened preseasons nowadays. I think the Bears aren't as great this year as they, everyone projects them to be. So I don't hate that one.
Yeah.
Week 9 at the Giants.
Loss. I just think it's going to be tough for him to get away from Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe the Giants take a step forward. We'll say they split their series.
Week 10, home to the Steelers.
I'm going to say they lose. Again, worried for a safety the next 3 games.
Yes, there's quite a few of those. I don't love it. I hope he's a good he's a good rushing quarterback, but he's going to be running for his life here. So week 11 at Philly. Good Lord.
Loss.
They don't have a great schedule here.
No.
Week 12, hosting the Cowboys.
Loss.
Week 13, it gets a little easier, hosting the Titans.
It gets easier, but from a team perspective, the Titans tried to go all in. I think that they're the ultimate wild card in the NFL this season. Let's pretend the Titans are good, and we'll give the Commanders a loss.
Oh, I agree. I just think it's relative to the way they've started. I think it's a little easier.
Yeah.
You went 4-9 going into the bye. Week 15, I'm a Saints fan, and I think this is a winnable game here. Week 15 at New Orleans. I know if this one was in Washington, I think Washington wins it easy. In New Orleans is a different monster. I think it's more of a 50-50, but I think the Saints are terrible.
I'm going to say flip a coin. Here, I'm going to flip one real quick. Heads, the Saints win. Tails, Commanders win. It's tails, Commanders win.
All right. I don't disagree with that.
Analysis.
The Saints are awful. Yes, that's the deep dive we all love.
Yep.
Week 16, home against the Eagles.
I think the Eagles are fighting for seeding at this point, and the Commanders have no business being on the field with them. That's a loss.
Fair enough. 17, home to the Falcons.
At home, this is probably another 50-50 game, so I'll give this one to the Falcons and give it a loss. I just think we have a lot of faith in Kirk Cousins. We have a lot of faith in this offense to be better, but I don't know. That's not a lot of confidence there.
And we are going to close it out week 18 at the Cowboys.
Let's say the Cowboys are resting their starters, so we'll give the Commanders a win to make it look better.
Oh, I was not expecting that. I like where you're at, though. That brings them to, I had them as a loss there, but I'll take it. That brings them to 6-11. So that's pretty reasonable, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, before we get out of here, you want to take another second to plug you and everything you do?
Yeah. Thank you to everybody that's listening. First and foremost, if you're listening still, like, subscribe, give Aaron some love. He works hard and is a good dude. So, it's just a click for you. It means a ton to us. You can find me over at the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast, or you can find my written work at Last Word on Sports, or just find me on Twitter at FFMikeCash with a K.
All right. Thank you again for joining me, Mike. Always a pleasure. It's been a little while. We've both had busy off seasons here with projects. Thank you all for tuning in. Oh, you've got a young one still, don't you? What do you got? 9 months, 6 months?
She is a 1-month-old, and I'm on this work conference, which makes me very sad.
I thought I've been on a podcast with you. Oh no, your wife was pregnant still, right?
She was very pregnant. Yep.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you had a newborn at that time or if she was still pregnant.
Yeah, I gave you the warning, like, hey, if Margot comes early.
Yeah. I remember you did the whole podcast like this because she was in the other room sleeping. So
yep,
I remember. So we got to talk a little this time. Great having you as always. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check back tomorrow for, I believe, the Raiders, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you next time. Take care.
Bye, guys.